Good morning, all. Welcome to the online session of the course Machining Science and Machine Tools. So, I hope everyone is safe and secure in their respective places. So, during this and upcoming sessions, I will be covering some of the topics from Module 3. So, it will be mostly related to modern machining processes. So, the topics that we have discussed earlier in the module 1 are related to traditional machining processes. So I think we have discussed about turning, milling, grinding and drilling process. These machining processes are related to traditional machining process. Now we will cover or we will discuss about advanced or modern machining processes. So here if you see, so we will initially discuss the need for such modern machining processes. So the most important need is the continuous demand and development of materials with high strength and temperature resistance. Also, evaluation of alloys with high strength to weight ratio. So if you consider the alloys having high strength to weight ratio, we have titanium and intermetallic alloys. And we also have ceramics. So you know ceramics are always brittle in nature, and some of the fiber reinforced composites. So now if you consider the titanium and intermetallic alloys, so here the density is very low but the strength is higher. Like if you take titanium, the density is around 4 grams per centimeter cube. So since it has less weight or density and it has higher strength, it is termed to be high strength to weight ratio alloys. So if you come to the need that the machining of these type of materials are very difficult with traditional machining methods. So here the traditional machining methods that we have discussed earlier in the module 1 are turning, milling, grinding and drilling process. So machining of these type of materials are mostly difficult with traditional machining methods. Now if we consider the traditional machining process, so it depends upon the workpiece material strength and hardness. So we know that when the workpiece material strength and hardness is very high, then it obviously influences the speed of machining. That is, if the strength and hardness is very high, it increases the cutting force. So whenever the cutting force is getting increased, so we can do the machining at higher speeds. So mostly in case of traditional machining process. So it also affects the material removal rate. So it has greater influence on the economical production cost and production rate. And it also has greater difficulty in finding appropriate cutting tool material. So here the cutting tool material is that the tool material properties must be higher than the work material property. That is, the strength and hardness of the tool material must be higher than the work material's strength and hardness. So finding such cutting tool material is difficult for machining these type of materials such as HSTR and ceramics. So these are some of the needs that we have to depend upon modern machining process. And if we consider traditional machining methods, it is bit difficult to produce products having complex shapes. So production of complex shapes by traditional machining methods is also difficult, specifically in these materials such as HSTR and ceramics are fiber reinforced composites. So if you take fiber reinforced composites, here you can see, so if you machine the fiber reinforced composites with traditional methods, so the major difficulty is that the fiber should not get delaminated. So that is one of the disadvantage of machining these FRPs or fiber reinforced composites with traditional machining methods. So this is one of the need to go for modern machining process. And if we consider other higher level requirements, so some of them are better surface finish. I think like we can achieve better surface finish with modern machining process in these type of materials rather than traditional methods. Also we can achieve lower values of tolerances, higher production rates, complex shapes and miniaturization. So these are some of the higher level requirements that it is obvious to go for modern machining process. And so the aforesaid characteristics, so what are all the characteristics that we have discussed earlier are commonly required in the products that are used in industries like aerospace, nuclear reactors, missiles, turbines and automobiles. So these are the major applications that requires all these characteristics. Now these requirements, like we have seen some of the requirements that are higher level requirements, it demands for advanced machining process which involves newer material removal techniques. So I think we have discussed the mechanism of material removal in traditional machining method in module 1. So it is by means of shear deformation along the primary deformation zone. Whereas in case of advanced machining process, these material removal techniques will vary from the traditional methods. And unlike traditional machining process, this newly developed modern machining process depends upon the material properties, mostly the work material properties like electrical and thermal conductivity, melting temperature, electrochemical equivalent, etc. And it does not depend upon the work material strength and hardness. So we have discussed earlier that traditional machining process, it depends upon the work material strength and hardness, whereas advanced machining process, it does not depend upon the strength and hardness, whereas it depends upon some of the other material properties like thermal conductivity and electrical conductivity, melting temperature and electrochemical properties. Also, it differs in the form of kinetic energy that is supplied to remove the material. So the kinetic energy may be in the form of mechanical means, or by means of electrical means, or thermoelectric, or by means of electrochemical. So the form of the kinetic energy that is being supplied to remove the material will differ from traditional machining process. So now we will see some of the classification of advanced machining techniques. So here the classification is based on the method of material removal. So I have already told that advanced machining process differs in the form of kinetic energy that is being supplied to remove the material. So here the kinetic energy is supplied by means of mechanical, thermoelectric and electrochemical and chemical energy. So these are the means of kinetic energy which is supplied to remove the material. So under mechanical type there are different subdivisions available. So we will see some of the types under each category. So under mechanical type we will discuss about abrasive, jet machining and ultrasonic machining. Under thermoelectric means we will discuss about laser beam machining, electron beam machining and electric discharge machining. And in electrochemical means we will discuss about electrochemical machining. So we will summarize the need for advanced machining process. So the most important need to go for advanced machining process are the limitations involved in the conventional machining methods, and also rapid improvements in the properties of the materials. So whether it is a metal or a non-metal, so the rapid improvement in the properties of the materials forces us to go for advanced machining process. Similarly, in traditional machining methods, we can see the tool material hardness must be higher than the workpiece material hardness. So this is one of the difficulty in machining these advanced materials with conventional machining methods. And if you take the product requirements, so these are the some of the needs that requires advanced machining process, such as complex shapes, machining in inaccessible areas, So here inaccessible areas means like very narrow slots or narrow holes, those things, and low tolerances, that is the tolerance value will be very minimum, and better surface integrity. So here surface integrity represents the oxidation and corrosion or any heat affected areas in the machined surface or area, and higher surface finish. So these are the some of the requirements based upon the product, and we can achieve higher production rate using advanced machining process in difficult to machine materials. So mostly specifically in difficult to machine materials and low cost of production. So similarly we can do precision and ultra precision machining, that is the material will be removed in the form of atoms, that is the layer from the surface of the workpiece material will be removed atom by atom or molecule by molecule. So we can do a nanometer machining using advanced machining process, which involves newer material removal techniques. And here we have some important characteristics of advanced machining process, that is here the performance is independent of strength barrier. So we have already discussed that traditional machining process, it depends upon the workpiece material strength and hardness, whereas advanced machining process is independent of the strength barrier. So it depends upon some of the material properties, that is it depends upon thermal, electrical and chemical properties of the workpiece material, and it uses different kinds of energy in direct form to remove the material from the workpiece. So in generally we can see that even though advanced material process has low MRR, that is material removal rate, but it has better quality products, that it can provide better quality products. And if you comparatively see, there is high initial investment involved in case of advanced machining process. So these are the some important characteristics of AMPs. Now we will discuss one of the advanced machining process. So this comes under mechanical type, that is the kinetic energy is supplied by means of mechanical means. So here the term is AJM, the abbreviation is AJM. So in case of abrasive jet machining, the material is removed using a jet of inert gas. So this jet of inert gas consists of very fine abrasive particles. So it is nothing but a gas abrasive particle mixture. So we have already discussed about these abrasive particles in grinding, the same abrasive particles only. So it is nothing but a jet of inert gas which consists of very fine abrasive particles. So it is a mixture of gas and abrasive particles. So what we will do is that we will make this gas abrasive particle mixture to strike on the workpiece surface at a very high velocity. That is the velocity varies between 200 to 400 meter per second. So by which what will happen is that it results in the material removal through chipping action or by means of erosion. So this is the main mechanism by which the material is removed in case of abrasive jet machining. So here the gas mixture and the gas abrasive particle mixture is made to strike on the workpiece material. So this results in the material removal through chipping action. So this type of machining process like AJM is mostly employed for cutting. So that is sheet metal cutting. So it also has specific thickness for the sheet metal, and cleaning purpose also. Yeah, I think you might have heard about sandblasting and all. So we can do similar sandblasting using abrasive jet machining process. So we can also go for etching, polishing and deburring. So here deburring is nothing but removing the burrs from the workpiece surface. So burrs are nothing but peaks, that is peaks of materials that is present in the workpiece surface. Like in case of castings, so you might have seen some of the casting defects like infiltration. So in case of infiltration, you can go for sandblasting or deburring. So using deburring, you can remove those infiltrated metallic parts from the casted products. So mostly AJM, this abrasive jet machining, is effective on hard and brittle materials like glass, silicon, tungsten and ceramics. But it is not that much effective on soft materials like aluminium and rubber. So because what will happen, these abrasive particles get trapped into the soft metals like aluminum and rubber. So in case of aluminum it gets trapped, while in case of rubber it jumps off from the surface. So here we will see the basic schematic setup of abrasive jet machining. So this schematic setup has different elements involved in it. So initially the first element we will see is the gas propulsion system. So here you can see the gas propulsion system. So the main purpose of this gas propulsion system is to provide compressed air to the air abrasive mixing chamber. So using a compressor or a cylinder filled with gas. So either we can use a compressor or a cylinder filled with gases. So that can be used to produce the pressurized gas to the mixing chamber. And the next element is the abrasive feeder. So here abrasive feeder is nothing but a storage tank in which the abrasive particles are stored. So from the feeder it is transferred to the mixing chamber. So here the transfer takes place by using a vibratory motor. By inducing vibration to this feeder, so it transfers a controlled amount of abrasive particles into the mixing chamber. So in mixing chamber what will happen is that the compressor gas and the abrasive particles will mix in a definite proportion. That is, there is a certain mixing ratio by which this compressor gas and the abrasive particles will get mixed in the mixing chamber. So after mixing, this air and abrasive mixture will enters the nozzle. So here the main purpose of the nozzle is to increase the velocity of the air abrasive mixture, and finally what will happen is that these abrasive particles will strike the workpiece surface, and because of chipping action material will be removed from the workpiece material. So there is a definite distance between the nozzle outlet and workpiece surface, and the distance is termed to be standoff distance. So these are some of the elements of abrasive jet machining setup. So we will discuss in detail about these elements. So that is the purpose of these elements. So the first element we have seen is the gas propulsion system. So this gas propulsion system supplies clean and dry gas to propel abrasive particles. Okay, so either we can use a compressor or a cylinder filled with gas, and the gas must be non-toxic, cheap and easily available, and there should be no excess spreading. So here spreading in terms, so these abrasive particles should not spread all over on the workpiece material. That is, it should be concentrated on a particular area where the machining has to be carried. So spreading should not be there. So this gas can be an inert gas like argon, helium or whatever may be the inert gases, or we can use compressed air also. And the next element is the abrasive feeder. So we have discussed this is the abrasive feeder. So here the abrasive particles will be stored. So you can compare this abrasive feeder to a hopper. So the amount of, that is controlled amount of abrasive particles will be transferred to the mixing chamber by inducing vibration. So here the quality is controlled by means of vibration. And the next element is the machining chamber. Sorry, not the machining chamber, it is mixing chamber. Here the mixing chamber is a well closed chamber. So here the abrasive particles content should be below harmful limit. That is, there is a definite air abrasive particle mixing ratio. So the mixing ratio has to be followed properly, and vacuum dust collector is there. That is, any dust particle that is present in the abrasive particles are collected using vacuum dust collector. And finally we have seen about the nozzle. So here you can see the next element is the nozzle, that is abrasive jet machining nozzles. So either we can use a tungsten carbide or a sapphire nozzle. The lifetime is around 300 hours. So the cross section may be a circular one or rectangular one. and the nozzle pressure can be varied between 2 to 8.5 kg per centimeter squared. So here the nozzle pressure depends upon the workpiece material and the MRR requirement, that is material removal rate requirements. So if the material MRR requirement is higher, then the pressure has to be increased. And so if you say increased wear, so here increased wear represents the wear of the nozzle. So if there is increased wear in the nozzle, what will happen is that it will lead to stray cutting. So here stray cutting is nothing but spreading. That is, the cutting will not happen in a definite area. So the cutting will be all over the workpiece material surface. So, and it leads to higher inaccuracy. So we can avoid this stray cutting even though the nozzle is veered off. So we can avoid this stray cutting by using certain mask. So you know what is meant by mask. So this can be controlled by using a mask. So here you can see here is the substrate. The substrate is nothing but the workpiece material, and above the substrate a mask is being used. So what will happen is that, so whatever the spread is there, that is the spread of abrasive particle is there, so this mask will prevent the chipping action on the workpiece surface, whereas there will not be any mask on the area where machining has to be carried out. So by this way stray cutting can be controlled. So for less accurate control we can go for rubber, and for more accurate control we can go for metallic masks. So these are the different elements in the abrasive jet machining setup, and we will see the different types of abrasive that are used in the abrasive jet machining. So here you can see commonly alumina, silicon carbide, glass beads, sodium bicarbonate are used in abrasive jet machining process, and the selection of these abrasive particles depends upon the work material that is being machined, material removal rate, and finally the accuracy. That is Al2,3, that is aluminium and sodium bicarbonate and silicon carbide are used for harder materials, and these abrasive particles are mainly used for cleaning, cutting and deburring purposes, whereas glass beads are good for matte finish. And if you see the size, so it varies between 10 to 50 micron meter. So here size represents the size of the abrasive particles. So small size means that is 10 micron to 20 micron meter. So small size abrasive particles are used for cleaning and polishing purpose, whereas large size particles are used for cutting action. So mostly reuse of these abrasive particles are not recommended because it reduces the accuracy of the machining process. So what will happen is that this, if we reuse these abrasive particles, so the contamination that is present in the abrasives, that is the machined chips, contaminates these abrasive particles, and it sometimes blocks the nozzle passage, and it also leads to lower cutting ability. But what the most important thing is, it can reduce the cost of machining, because since we are reusing the abrasive particles, so there may be considerable reduction in the cost of machining. So these are the different elements in the abrasive jet machining process. So now we will discuss about some of the process parameters that influence the material removal rate during abrasive jet machining process. So the first important parameter, process parameter, is the standoff distance. So I have already explained. The standoff distance is nothing but the distance between the nozzle outlet and the workpiece surface. So usually if we see, the standoff distance varies between 0.75 to 1 mm. So this is the range where the MRR is maximum, that is material removal rate is maximum if we adjust the SOD between 0.75 to 1 mm. And if we decrease this distance, that is if SOD is decreased, so what will happen is that it improves the accuracy, that is we can get higher dimensional accuracy, and decreases the curve width. So kerf width is nothing but the width of the machining. So here you can see this is the machining width. So which is nothing but kerf width, and it reduces the taper. So what will happen? So if SOD is increased, it will lead to spread. It will lead to spreading of the abrasive particles. So if spreading is there, then obviously there will be tapering. So if you are machining a groove, if spreading is there, we will not get a narrow groove. So obviously there will be a taper formation. So in order to reduce the taper formation in machining a groove, so we have to reduce the standoff distance. So we will get a narrow slot in the workpiece surface. So here you can see the profile that is being generated with respect to the standoff distance. So this is the minimum value and this is the maximum value, or it is increasing from here to this point. So when SOD is minimum, that is standoff distance is minimum, you can see the groove is very narrow. Also kerf width is minimum. Whereas if you increase the standoff distance to 0.59 inch, here you can see there is a taper that is being formed onto the groove. Also there is increase in the kerf width, that is the machining width is also getting increased because of spreading action, because of the spread of abrasive particles. So here you can see the cavity profile that is being formed with respect to the varying standoff distance from 2 mm to 20 mm. So here you can see for 2 mm the groove is very narrow, and if you increase the SOD, so you can see there is a taper being formed as well as the groove is not narrow. So these are some of the influence of SOD on the profile of the groove that is being generated on the workpiece surface. And now we will see the effect of SOD, that is standoff distance, on volumetric material removal rate and penetration rate. So here you can see the variation of volumetric material removal rate with respect to standoff distance. So here this line is for volumetric material removal rate. So whenever the standoff distance is increased, MRR is getting increased. This is because of the spread of abrasive particles. So when there is spreading abrasive particles, then obviously volumetric material removal rate will increase. So here you can see this is volumetric material removal rate in terms of meter cube per second. So whenever there is a increase in standoff distance, there will be increase in the spread of abrasive particles that will result in the increase of volumetric material removal rate. And if you see the penetration rate, so here you can see the penetration rate is decreasing with increase in the standoff distance. So here you can see, so this is for minimum standoff distance and this is for maximum standoff distance. You can see with the minimum SOD, the abrasive particles are concentrated on a minimum area, so that penetration is higher. Whereas if you can see this, with higher SOD, there is more spread that results in lower penetration. So whenever SOD increases, penetrating rate decreases. So that's why it is given over here, this dark line. It represents the decreased penetration rate with respect to increase in standoff distance. And the next important parameter is the abrasive flow rate. So here you can see the variation of MRR with respect to abrasive flow rate. So when the abrasive flow rate is increased, you can see there is a increase in the MRR up to a particular level. So here you can see this is not volumetric material removal rate. So this material removal rate in terms of milligram per minute. So previously what we have discussed is the volumetric material removal rate in terms of meter cube per second. So here, so when the abrasive flow rate is increased, the material removal rate is increasing, but it is increasing up to a certain limit. So after this point, so even if we increase the abrasive flow rate, so there is no increase in the material removal rate. So this is because the abrasive flow rate the abrasive flow velocity gets reduced after this point. So when you increase the abrasive flow rate, what will happen is that the number of abrasive particles that are striking on the workpiece material increases. That is, the number of abrasive particles flowing on the nozzle gets increased. If the number of particles increases, what will happen is that it may choke down the nozzle outlet. Because of the choking, the velocity of the abrasive particles may get reduced. So if the velocity gets reduced, then obviously the material removal rate gets reduced. So this is the reason why after a certain limit there is no increase in the MRR, even though there is an increase in the abrasive flow rate. And the third important process parameter is the nozzle pressure. So here you can see this graph. Here it is in terms of volumetric material removal rate. So these are for different mixing ratio. So these lines are for different mixing ratio. So we will take one of the mixing ratio 0.143. So when the nozzle pressure is increased, you can see there is a constant increase in the volumetric material removal rate. So this is the trend for all the mixing ratio. So when you increase the nozzle pressure, obviously the volumetric material removal rate will get increased. That is, the particles will tend to strike the work material at a higher velocity. Then more volume of material will get removed. And the final property is the mixing ratio. So here you can see the mixing ratio is the ratio of mixing of abrasive particle and the carrier gas. So here the mixing ratio is represented in terms of M. So it also influences the volumetric material removal rate. So that is given in the graph over here. But we will see the term for mixing ratio M. So here M is the ratio between the volumetric flow rate of abrasive particles to the volume flow rate of carrier gas. That is V suffix A over V suffix G. That is the volume of the abrasive particles, that is volume flow rate of abrasive particles to the volume flow rate of carrier gas. So here you can see as M increases, MRR is also getting increased. So here you can see, so these lines are for different mixing ratio. So this is for minimum value and this is for maximum value. That is, the mixing ratio is increasing from the bottom to the top. So when the mixing ratio is getting increased, M is increased, you can see volumetric material rate is also getting increased. But what will happen is that large value of M decreases the velocity. That is, when M increases, so when will M increases? When the volume flow rate of abrasive particles increases, then obviously M gets increased. That is, mixing ratio increases. That is, the number of particles flowing through the nozzle also increases. So this obviously decreases the velocity of the abrasive particles and it may sometimes block the nozzle. So with higher value of M, this decreases the velocity and block the nozzle. So we can also represent M in terms of alpha, that is by means of mass ratio R. This is one of the term. So here we are using a mass ratio alpha, so which is equal to MA by M suffix A by M suffix A plus G. So here M suffix A is nothing but the abrasive mass flow rate. So here mass flow rate in terms gram per minute or gram per second or gram per unit time. So whatever will be the time unit. And M suffix A plus G is the abrasive and carrier gas combined mass flow rate. So these two ratios will give you the mass ratio. And finally we can calculate the volumetric material removal rate using this term formula. So here this is VRR, volumetric removal rate, or you can represent this to be MRR suffix V. So this using this formula you can calculate the material removal rate in case of abrasive jet machining. So here you can see the K is nothing but a constant of proportionality or empirical constant. So N is the number of abrasive particles impacting per unit area, and dA is nothing but the mean diameter of the abrasive particles in terms of micron meter. So V is the speed or velocity of the abrasive particles, rho A is the density of the abrasive particles, and HW is the hardness number of the work material. So using this formula you can calculate the material removal rate, that is in terms of volumetry. So up to now we have seen the mechanism of material removal in case of abrasive jet machining, that is the different elements present in the schematic setup of the abrasive jet machining and the various parameters, process parameters that affects the MRR during the abrasive jet machining. So these are the important parameters, that is the stand-off distance, abrasive flow rate, nozzle pressure, mixing ratio. So these are the important parameters that influences the material removal rate in case of abrasive jet machining. And finally we will see some of the applications of AJM. So here you can see, so we can do a drilling, hole drilling using AJM, or cutting slots, cleaning hard surfaces, deburring, polishing and radiusing. So these are the some of the process that we can do with abrasive jet machining. So we can also do deburring of cross holes. So here deburring is nothing but, so burr means nothing but spikes of material spikes on the surface. So those material spikes are removed by this deburring process. So we can do deburring of cross holes, slots and threads in small precision parts, so that require a burr-free finish, such as hydraulic valves, aircraft fuel systems and medical appliances. And we can also do machining of intricate shapes or holes in case of sensitive, brittle, thin or difficult to machine materials. So we can machine an intricate or most complicated shape in difficult to machine materials, and wire cleaning without affecting the conductor. So you know your wire might be having a conductor on the sheath. Sometimes the sheath must be cleaned. So here using abrasive jet machining we can clean the wire without affecting the interior conductor, and micro deburring of hypodermic needles. So these are some of the needles that are used to in medical purpose or to make a very minute holes. So those needles should should not contain any burrs on its surfaces. So these hypodermic needles are used to make holes of around 0.2 mm diameter. So so this deburring is most important for these needles for higher accuracy. So frosting glass, you know what is meant by frosting glass. So we can also do frosting of the glass, and we can also trim the circuit boards, hybrid circuit resistors, capacitors, silicon and gallium materials. Finally we can remove the films. So film in terms like coatings. So in some applications we may coat the substrate with the hard coatings. So sometimes it may be required to remove these hard coatings. So using traditional machining methods we can't remove those hard coatings, because these coatings are the thickness of the coatings will be around 10 microns or 5 microns. So that much detailed machining we can't do with traditional machining methods. So removal of those coatings and films are possible with these types of modern machining process, and delicate cleaning of irregular surfaces, because the abrasive stream is able to follow the contours. That is, this abrasive stream we can reduce, that is we can adjust the diameter of the abrasive stream by adjusting the diameter of the nozzle. So it is easy to control this abrasive stream such that it can follow any contours. That is, if there is any narrow contour or if there is any cross holes or cross slots, then it is easy to control this stream onto these contours. So we can clean these irregular surfaces using abrasive jet machining. So up to now we have seen some of the details of abrasive jet machining process. So in the upcoming sessions we will discuss about the other types of advanced machining process. So in the next class or in the next session we will discuss about electrochemical machining. So if you have any doubts on this abrasive jet machining process, so you can refer the book V.K. Jain. So advanced machining process by V.K. Jain. Also you can also refer the references that are included in your curriculum. So thank you very much. Take care.